Hey, hey, my beautiful babes. Auntie Cuckoo's back with another doozy for yas. Do you guys remember the body in the bin case from Australia? Where this lady was supposed to watch over a 16-year-old and she abused her, repeatedly tortured her until the young girl died? Do you remember that? You do? You don't? Well, buckle up, buttercup, because the Auntie Cuckoo's got all the deets for you. But as usual, before I get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Storytime Auntie Cuckoo, K-O-O, K-O-O. Let's do it. I did get a little sunburnt, so bear with me being extra hot and sweaty than normal. So this story takes place in Wollongong. I'm probably getting that wrong, but Australia. It starts like in 2005. What goes down is there is a mother. Her name is Kathy, and she is raising her, young daughter, Louiseobrien. And they've gone through some tragedy. The mom, Kathy's other daughter, had committed suicide, and young Louise was having like a hard time with it. So Kathy was like, what can I do to kind of get a fresh start? So they had a very good family friend of years named Patricia Goodard, I believe is how you say it, Goddard. Been like a really good family friend, like family. And so they were going to visit her a ton and thought like, maybe a fresh start here would be a good idea. But the school year was starting and Kathy wouldn't be able to move into her new home until, a few weeks after school had already started. Well, Patricia, being the nice woman she is, was like, oh, Louise could live with me for a few weeks until you get your home and get situated. That way she doesn't have to change schools and stuff. She'll start here and be good to go. Kathy's like, oh my God, you're such a godsend. That's so great. And Louise is like, that sounds wonderful. They've spent a lot of time with this lady, family friend. So Kathy is like, here is my daughter. Could you please watch over her for the next 6 weeks until my home is ready and we can get back together? Now, Kathy and Louise were like this, like mother and daughter, very close. There's been different stories that Louise possibly was maybe a little bit mentally delayed or, maybe just a little naive. I'm not sure. I didn't know them personally, but there are stories that, she was a more passive person, definitely, but I don't know if there was any intellectual delay or disabilities or anything for sure, but I've heard contradicting stories. Either way, it doesn't matter because what happens is wrong no matter what. So Kathy gives her beautiful young daughter to Patricia to watch over for the next few weeks until their home is ready. As Louise, who is the, young girl, 16 years old at the time, moves in with Patricia, things are going well at first, and Mom, Kathy, is constantly coming to visit anytime she gets a chance to, check in on her daughter and spend time with her and stuff. As she continues to visit over these next few weeks, Louise is like more withdrawn and like not wanting to be around her. And she notices that constantly, Patricia is like always standing in the background, always watching, always like kind of eyes over type of situation. So ends up that when Mom, Kathy, is gone back at the other house and Louise is in the care of Patricia, she begins severely abusing this girl, making her into like a full-blown slave, beating her repeatedly, forcing her to eat out of dirty, nasty bowls that like we wouldn't even feed our dogs out of on the floor. And if she wouldn't eat it, she would pull the food up, douse it in like pepper, hot sauce, vinegar, put her hand on her face, hold her mouth open, force feed this to this girl. Like, you don't want to eat what I give you on the floor, like worse than a dog, then let me force feed it worse to you. She would add more crap, hot sauce, whatever, to torment this girl. She repeatedly beat her. It was said during one visit when Kathy, the mom, came to visit and check in on her daughter that she saw like a bruise on her eye in like passing. And Kathy was like, what happened to my daughter? Patricia's like, oh, she had a sty on her eye and she won't stop rubbing it. So she kind of like brushed it off thinking, she's trying to be a little standoffish, withdrawn, like teenage girls get, like, Mom, I don't need you at my butt all the time style, So Kathy wasn't thinking too much of it. Like I said, this is a longtime family friend. It gets to the point where like, finally she gets her home, like I said, it's supposed to be 6 weeks. And she goes to get her daughter to bring her to the new home, knocks on the door of this longtime friend that's like family, and is greeted with a, what are you doing here? By Patricia's daughter. Tracey Taylor, I believe her name is. That scumbag too. But anyways, so she's like, what are you doing here? Whatever. And she's like, I'm here to get my daughter. You know, I got my house, we're set up, we're good to go. And they're like, she doesn't want to see you. She wants nothing to do with you. Louise apparently like barely came out of the room and like just kind of did like a quick passing by look and went to her room. And then they were like, you got to get out of here, Kathy. She wants nothing to do with you anymore. You got to go. So Kathy's like, what the hell is happening? What happened to my beautiful young daughter? And like, you know, this tight bond we had, now she wants nothing to do with me. So Kathy, like most parents, is like, well, I'm going to the police. You know, they're going to make my daughter come home. Well, she goes to the police in Australia and they're like, your daughter's 16 years old. She's old enough to make her own decisions. We cannot force her to come home. You know, obviously laws and stuff are different in every country and state and wherever else. But in Australia, once you're 16, apparently you can make your own decisions. So when Patricia's like, she wants nothing to do with you. Don't come back. She's living here. She's happy with us. Stay away. Kathy had like no rights to like go in and get her daughter anymore, which is mind-blowing to me. Like I said, there is speculation that Louise was, you know, a little bit naive and possibly a little emotionally and mentally delayed. I'm not 100% sure. But definitely have more of a passive and like easygoing personality that like was able to be taken over by Patricia, that she was too scared to like even come out of the room and say, Mom, save me, which is like heartbreaking. So like I said, this started in 2005 and this goes on for the next couple years. Louise lives with Patricia, and then I guess Patricia, you know, the abuser, her daughter, I think her name's Tracey Taylor, not 100% sure, is living there, and her son and stuff in and out, and they witnessed like unspeakable abuse. One point, Louise had actually cut off like a piece of her hair. Well, it sounds like Patricia was pissed and ended up shaving her whole head. She thought she was stealing her cigarettes, so she had a pot of water boiling on the stove, pulled the pot off, took Patricia's hand. I'm sorry, not Patricia, I apologize. Patricia took Louise's hand and put it onto that scalding hot stove and held it there as a punishment. And there was multiple beatings. There was, like I said, she was tied to a chair at one time. Her head was shaved. She was fed out of a dirty bowl on the floor like a dog and treated like an absolute slave. Now, the only thing that the mom, Kathy, now in hindsight, looking back after everything happened, can think is that when Louise was living with Patricia, the abuser, her father, Louise's biological father, was sending like a couple $100s a month to help out with like expenses. That's the only thing she can think as to why she would not let Louise, you know, go on and move on, and why she was keeping her captive like a slave. Over a couple $100s a month. You are twisted, Patricia. And what's coming, you deserve. You deserve everything that's coming. So, anyways, this goes on, like I said. And then eventually, you know, Mom's devastated. She can't get her daughter back. She's not hearing from her. According to Mom, she's thinking that it's all Louise's decision, that she's just so happy and doesn't want anything to do with her anymore. So finally, in like 2008, she gets a letter from her daughter stating, Mom, things are going great. I've met a boyfriend in Melbourne. I'm living with him. I'm working in a kitchen. Things are wonderful. Well, come to find out, Louise was much closer than Mom thought. There was a tip sent in to the Australian police that made them go searching Patricia's home, and ended up finding that she had a dead body in her backyard. How'd that dead body get there, you wonder? Let me tell you what happened. So, Patricia was very upset. Louise, like, didn't wash something correctly or do something correctly. Patricia picked up a hammer and swung it at this child, hitting her so hard in the head that it caused a subdural hematoma. She allowed her to lay there in and out of consciousness, you know, going through this terrorizing, like, crazy pain, suffering. It's even said, I've heard contradicting stories, that she had her daughter and her son move her body into a caravan so it wasn't bothering them once she started defecating on herself and stuff, because she wasn't able to move anymore until she finally died. Once she was dead, Obviously, Patricia went into a panic like, oh my God, not, oh my God, this child's dead. Oh my God, I don't want to get busted for murder. So she calls her daughter, I think it's Tracey Taylor or whatever her name is. Some say they're not allowed to say the name, some say a name. So Tracey Taylor is what I've seen. Who's like 46, 47 years old, calls her, who's working at like a carnival apparently. And Tracey, the daughter of Patricia, comes home and brings her son, Tracey's son, with her. And is like, oh, I need you to dig a hole in the backyard. Because in this wheelie bin here, that's like one of those big trash cans that we have in the States. That you put out like on the curb for the garbage man. In Australia, they call it a wheelie bin. So in this big wheelie bin here that's all taped up, all funny and weird looking, it's just our dead dog. So the nephew, the grandson, whatever he is, he digs a hole and stuff. And they bury that shiznit up. And like I said, mom gets a letter saying like, oh, I've moved on. I'm in Melbourne with a boyfriend and I'm a dishwasher. Things are good. So mom's like, oh my God, I'm so glad she's doing well. Come to find out, police get a tip. Yo, we're pretty sure that Patricia is killing people and got dead bodies in her backyard. So the police obviously go looking. And the first few times they went, they didn't see anything. And they didn't see Louise or anything. But the tips continue to come in. So finally they go and, you know, dogs are sniffing. They sniff out a dead body. They do some excavation. They pull that up. And what do they find? A wheelie bin with Louise's dead body in it. So they don't have an exact date of death because nobody really knows. And obviously Patricia is doing nothing but lying. So the estimated date of death, about time, is October 12th, 2008, right? I believe so. It's October 12th, 2008. Now, as the autopsy goes on, not only did she get hit by that hammer in the head, it caused a subdural hematoma. Sorry, I'm having a hard time getting that out. You know, which is bleeding in the head and stuff. And like, if she would have gotten some treatment and stuff, there's a possibility she could have been saved. But she didn't. Because Patricia was too worried of getting in trouble for the abuse and torture she put this child through, that she allowed her to lay there and suffer and come in and out of consciousness. And it wasn't until she was like defecating on herself that she asked other people to move her into the caravan in the lawn so she wasn't ruining her house as Louise lay there dying. So that's that, right? Like, insane. So they find the body, obviously, and then they charge, you know, old ASS, Patricia Goodard. She's like 3 years old at this time. So they charge her, and here's her thing. She's like, yeah, it happened. It did. I hit her with a hammer, but it was an accident. It was an accident. I was in a fit of rage, and I chucked the hammer at her, and it just happened to hit her. I didn't know she was going to die. Well, again, once they do the autopsy, not only do they see that the girl was hit in the head with a hammer, but for 3-4 years, she had suffered brutal beatings, you know, burnings, broken bones. Her shoulders were broken, her collarbone, her ribs, you know, I mean, there was so many injuries. You could tell this young, beautiful, innocent child had been abused severely. So, let's say they go to trial, whatnot, and Patricia's all like, it was an accident. I didn't mean to do it. It was in a fit of rage. Surprisingly, again, this is Australia. I don't know how their justice system works. I know ours in the States a little messed up, but Australia sounds even more messed up because they were like, all right, so we're going to do a lesser charge of manslaughter. Yeah, I said it, manslaughter. And you're going to be sentenced to 3 years and 9 months. 3 years, 9 months. Yeah. Apparently, God and the forces around us were not down with that because a year into her sentence, she died of natural causes. Good riddance, Bia. So she died good because I couldn't believe that they were going to sentence her for 3 years and 9 months. For what she put this young, beautiful girl through blows my friggin' mind. Then to top it off, Taylor, crap, is that it? Oh, Tracey Taylor. The daughter, you know, they're trying to charge her as well as an accessory after the fact. Come to find out, she's all like, no, I had no clue. Don't do this to me. It looks like she's only had to serve like 2 or 3 years as well. Insane that this young, beautiful 16-year-old girl who was left by her mother to a family friend for just a few weeks to watch her until they could get their house situated so this girl didn't have to change schools, was tormented, tortured, alienated from her own family so bad, and then murdered. Like, what a heartbreaking story, right? That's me, always bringing you the best. Anyways, you guys, so that's my doozy for yous. Thank you so much as always. I appreciate you guys checking in with Auntie Cuckoo. I've got to go to work, so I got to go. But thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, and of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Storytime Auntie Cuckoo, K-O-O. Do your thing, chicken wang. Everyone, be nice, be kind, do good things, spread love, give hugs, not drugs, make love, not war. You know, do what you do. Thank you so much for checking in. Check you on the flip side. Deuces.